So lockdown 4.0, what changes for you starting tomorrow till the 31st of May? The country will remain in lockdown. Remember, there's been a huge spike just yesterday, 5,000 new coronavirus cases. Maharashtra remains the worst hit state in our country. But if you're in a green zone, life gradually comes back to normal. Of course, no flights, no mass rapid transport system, no buses, no metro, no intercity trains, interstate trains unless sanctioned specifically by the government for specific purposes. But let me now take you through the details of lockdown 4.0, what's permitted and what's not. The centre has permitted all shops, including those dealing with non-essential goods and services in all zones, to operate across the country during lockdown 4.0. Now, according to guidelines issued by the Ministry of Home Affairs, all public gatherings remain prohibited. Schools, colleges, educational institutions will remain shut till at least the 31st of May. Malls and restaurants to remain closed. However, restaurants may open their kitchen, but only for home delivery. Flights and metro services will remain suspended till the 31st of May. In a big move, states and union territories have now been given power to decide on the red, green and orange zone as per the COVID-19 guidelines and the situation on ground. Interstate movement of vehicles it's been permitted, but mutual consent of states is required. Now, India Today has the biggest team of reporters on ground zero to give you a 360-degree perspective on what's happening. India Today's Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu and Rahul Srivastav join us from the national capital. We have Tanushri Pandey joining us from Maharashtra, from Mumbai, the worst affected. We'll also take you to Kolkata, where Manogya Loiwal joins us with the latest in West Bengal. We'll cut across to Kerala, where Gopikrishnan Unnithan joins us from ground zero. And during the course of the next 1 hour, we'll take you across the length and breadth of our country, because India Today has the biggest team of reporters on ground zero to get you the factual position. But let's start with Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu. And Kamal, how is lockdown 4.0 different from lockdown 3? What's new that's been permitted?
First, it emphasizes on economic activities. So what's open? It's saloons, spas, barber shops, marketing complexes, shops are going to be open. Even as far as sporting activities are concerned, that is going to be allowed. So you may actually have an IPL, but without the spectators. Again, a whole lot of measures being allowed. So it is, in a sense, a greater relaxation to ensure that things are back on track. But this does not mean that things are normal. This is going to be a new normal for quite some time. What is also important is the interstate and intrastate bus travel, if the states agree. Now, many people have been putting up question whether movement across Delhi NCR is going to be allowed, whether people from Delhi Noida are going to be allowed to move. That's going to be a big question, because remember, what Centre has done is put more onus on the states to define green, orange and red zones, and also defining the hotspots, which also means that they will have the power to ensure what is open and what is not. Karnataka has different measures. They want gyms, they want dine-ins to be open, which has been disallowed by the centre. Then there is Kejriwal's idea to have shops open, marketing complexes open, which has been given. And odd even in shopping malls, he said. Malls are altogether a big no-no. So a whole lot of things are no as per a prescribed manner given by the MHA. So any sort of mass congregation, whether religious, social, entertainment or otherwise, not been allowed. But as far as social activities, perhaps, for instance, gyms are not allowed, but those who are sports stars can get back to their track. That is going to be a significant move. So a whole lot of measures really coming in, but will be largely left up to the states as to what they allow and what they disallow.
That's extremely critical, and that is why we'll cut across to our reporters on ground zero to get you a perspective from every state. Requirement of every state is very different. Let me but quickly bring in Rahul Srivastav, our National Affairs Editor. And Rahul, what's of critical importance when you go through these 9 pages? The government is laying emphasis on the Arogya Setu app. Government wants people to download the Arogya Setu app. Explain, why does the government feel that the Setu app is its Brahmastra and essential to keep COVID-19 cases in check?
Gaurav, if you look at two basic guidelines, one is number 5, in which the states have been given the powers, and the second one is number 8, where in para 1, all activities barring those which are prohibited have been allowed. Now, what does it mean? It means that the states, it's become a very federal kind of a lockdown, in which the responsibility of SOPs is not only on the states, but I think all those who are going to be part of the easing of restrictions. It leaves greater responsibility on the states, and it is now going down to the last denominator, the public. And that is why at the level of the public, the government may be testing, the government may be doing contact tracing, but at the public level, the responsibility of being part of a larger eased restrictions is in terms of two things. One, follow all protocols. On the other hand, in terms of monitoring and in terms of knowing who exactly is next to you, what is my status, and sharing it at a public platform, Arogya Setu is the weapon government has. Beyond that, see, if you notice, government has not made it mandatory. It has said employers can ask their employees, people can be asked to download it. But the significance is that more the number of people download it and are then using the restrictions which have been eased, there might be a better tracking of people who could well be carrying the virus, who might be contaminated. And that is why the emphasis on Arogya Setu, it's now down to the states, down to the public, and that is why Arogya Setu is the lone platform available.
Okay, stay with me. Let's take this state-wise because states have their own requirements. And let me begin with Maharashtra. Let me cut across to India Today's Tanushree Pandey. Now, Maharashtra remains the worst hit state. It's also the financial capital of our country. Mumbai is the financial capital. And Tanushree, explain to us, for our country for the engines to restart, for economy to move, we need Mumbai to function. But Mumbai is red zone. So what is Uddhav Thackeray's strategy? Vidya, if you can hear me, we'll take a moment, connect that line with Tanushree Pandey in just a moment. Vidya, if you can hear me, respond to that. 2,400 odd cases reported in Maharashtra just today. Red zone Mumbai. How will they resume economic activities across Maharashtra, Vidya?
Well, Gaurav, the figures are certainly mind-boggling. There are more than 700 people who have died in Mumbai itself. And in this particular city itself, there are 20,000 people who have been tested for coronavirus. So certainly the figures are mind-numbing. And that is the reason why the government really does not want to take any chances. The lockdown will remain as it was earlier. And in fact, as we had seen, even despite the fact that the Maharashtra government had said that there will be 5 shops open in various lanes across any particular locality, in spite of that, we actually did see that Mumbai went ahead and said that there will be no such relief, that people will continue to be under lockdown. So certainly there is no relief to the people in Mumbai as well. In fact, most of the people that we have been speaking to have been saying exactly this, that they do not want this entire pandemic to spread any further. In fact, they continue to live with it. But in spite of the fact that it is creating problem, people are being restricted, people are not able to do their work. It's 2 months of lockdown is certainly something that no one had really seen. It is a problem for many, but to get rid of this pandemic, to be back to normalcy, is something that everyone here is hoping for. And if this is the way, so be it.
But is hope the only strategy? What's happening on ground zero? What are local measures being taken? Let's take this state by state. Let me cut across to West Bengal. Let me bring in Manogya Loiwal from Kolkata. Manogya, Rahul Srivastava was talking about federalism, cooperative federalism. Mamata Banerjee wanted certain areas to be demarcated as red zones decided by the state. The centre now says, go ahead with that. So what is Bengal's strategy to deal with COVID-19 cases amidst a clash, Manogya, when it comes to the number of cases and the clash between the BJP and the TMC on ground?
Well, it's not just a clash, it's a war going on between the centre and the state, and you could call it BJP and TMC, where none of them are budging behind. What we have to understand is that with more powers to the state, there will be a lot of easiness on the ground, where many of the measures that were expected to be taken by the state government, which they had assured that they would be but were being stopped by the central government allegedly, would be taken further. The distinction between the zones has been something that has been a challenge on ground, especially understanding that the red zone, the orange zone and the green zone, remember there was a list released by the central government where there were questions raised by the state government immediately stating that the release of such kind of zones is absolutely incorrect on behalf of the central government. Besides all this, what we see on ground is you would see more of stores and shops opening, just like what had happened in lockdown 3.0. Mamata Banerjee had allowed online supplies of non-essential items also, even with a lot of contradiction on what would be the final guidelines for the red zone. That would be interesting to watch, because that's what is going to be released tomorrow after a series of meeting in the secretariat, which is expected to be held, and the release later in the afternoon. But what we are given to understand is that lockdown 4.0 will have a lot of more strategy and stress on economic development in the state, which has been a big challenge. For Odisha, they have called a lockdown and it will continue till 31st of May. Remember, the added disadvantage is the cyclone that is expected in another 2 to 3 days again, which will be having a major effect on the entire structure and the entire fight of COVID-19 in this part of the country.
Manogya, stay with me for a moment. There's breaking news coming in from the national capital. We have a reaction from Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Arvind Kejriwal has welcomed the centre's move. His first reaction, he's saying that it's time to relax certain restrictions to an extent. He says that the Delhi government will have its own plan in place and that will be announced in the national capital tomorrow. Arvind Kejriwal says the Delhi government will announce its plan for the national capital tomorrow. His first reaction of the centre extends lockdown till the 31st of May. Arvind Kejriwal says it's time to relax restrictions to an extent. I want to quickly bring in Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu. Kamal, Arvind Kejriwal wants, perhaps from what we've been hearing, malls to be reopened to an extent. The centre says that cannot happen. Take us through what Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party have been proposing in terms of easing the doing of business in Delhi.
See, once the business is there, they have to follow the national directive on COVID-19. That is very clear. So there have to be masks, there has to be social distancing, 2 gaj ki duri, something which has to be maintained within shops. Now in smaller clusters, in bazaars, that is somehow not possible. We've seen it in different places. Several areas around Khan Market, we've been going around for 1 or 2 days. We saw there were attempts of shops being opened, so because they were anticipating this kind of a decision. But that odd and even formula is something that Arvind Kejriwal could actually emphasize on, because that's the way you can actually contain social distancing. This has to be not just a Delhi guideline itself. Each state will have to come up with its own guideline, because remember, there is redefinition as far as orange, red and green zones are concerned. So that itself is pointing out that each state will have its own guideline, and then they'll have to take it forward. Whether they're able to actually have economic activity booming is one question, and second is whether they're able to contain the situation, whether COVID cases, which we have seen touching over 90,000 figures now, this is a key cause of concern. But Arvind Kejriwal in specific has been saying we have to learn to live with coronavirus, and even though half the city will continue to remain in lockdown, there will be some easing, some opening up of economic activity.
Okay, there's more breaking news coming in, and this time it's coming from the state of Karnataka. We're getting reactions from various chief ministers and what states intend to do. And remember, Karnataka is extremely critical at this stage. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yedurappa is to chair a key meeting of Lockdown 4.0 guidelines, and this meeting will take place at 11 on Monday. Karnataka Chief Minister's meeting with ministers and top officials to discuss the steps that will be taken to ensure Lockdown 4.0 in state. This is the latest that we are getting in from Karnataka at this stage. Remember, Delhi will also announce its set of restrictions that may be eased in the national capital. The same is what we are learning from the state of Karnataka. India Today's Nolan Pinto is our man on ground zero, and he's been reporting that in the green zone of Karnataka, certain business activities, economic activities have already started. Rahul, what is extremely interesting at this point of time, the centre is saying, Jahan bhi or Jahan bhi, start economic activity, open up industries gradually, especially in rural areas, but labour, migrant labour that could be utilized or could be employed in these factories seems either to be on the road or in quarantine centres, and they want to head back to their villages. So is there a disconnect between what the government is saying and what the government actually wants to do?
See, Gaurav, if you look at it, yes, it does sound like a very difficult situation with a lot of migrants already having moved back to their homes, and they are being taken care through what the government is claiming, a larger MNREGA, that is the Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme net. On the other hand, it is also true that if we heard Nirmala Sitharaman's first package, she talked about nearly 8 crore people being in all the shelters all over the country in the state. That means if a few lakh has moved, actually a lot of laborers are there still in the camps. 8 crore is what Nirmala Sitharaman said, Finance Minister, as a rough estimate. So what has happened, if you notice, initially when the industries were opened up in the last turnaround for the lockdown, at that time there were apprehensions. How will the workers come? Whether there will be easing of restrictions. Now the government has given a stimulus package with 5 tranches. Industries have reasons to start opening up. A lot of laborers still reside in the shelters and are still there. The easing of the restrictions in terms of the interstate movement, intrastate movement, opening of establishment like shops where people can buy their day-to-day stuff, actually incentivizes, creates an ecosystem in which regular activity can start, workers can start returning to small-scale industries and others. Yes, there will be a problem, but incentives like MSME being given a loan provision in which government is a guarantor, EPF being paid by the government, both employer and employee contribution, there are a lot of incentives which have been built in. I think the government guidelines and the government stimulus have been packaged in terms of being in tandem very well. The timing is correct. A lot of laborer is still around. States now have been given a lot of freedom, Gaurav. So the states can actually use these easing of restrictions, use the independence and the autonomy they have to actually ensure that normal activities start taking place.
Yes. So let's now head south. Let's head south of the Vindhyas. Let me take you to Tamil Nadu and Kerala, where Gopi Krishnan Unithan joins us from Thiruvananthapuram, and we have Shalini Lobo in Chennai. And Shalini, Lockdown 4.0 till the 31st of May. Tamil Nadu had reported a spike. That was a cause for concern. But what will reopen tomorrow? What will be new in Tamil Nadu tomorrow?
Well, Gaurav, Tamil Nadu has recorded a spike over the last 2 weeks. In fact, even today we had 558 cases in the state, and of course an additional 90 odd cases from outside. People who traveled into the state, mainly 73 cases from Maharashtra and the rest from Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. So what will be open tomorrow? They've divided that. 12 districts, including the state capital, Chengalpet, Kanchipuram, all these districts which saw massive surges in cases, they will have no relaxations. They will continue how they were. That is, standalone shops will be open and no air conditions, everyone to wear a mask, or those shops which are standalone shops which are open will be disinfected at least 5 times a day. 25 districts, however, which are moderately better off than the state capital, and those which are green, the orange and green districts, they will have relaxations in place. That is, to move inside the district, you won't need a pass. However, inter-district movement will require a e-pass. There will be 100% workforce for MNREGA works, activities, projects that are underway. Also, small industries and factories which have more than 100 people as workforce, they can work with 50% workforce in place, but those who are employing less than 100 people, they can work with a full workforce. Taxis can ply, but however, it can ply only for essential services. Public transport, which includes your buses, your trains, autos, will remain shut. The places of worship will still remain shut. Schools, colleges will remain shut. Also, bars, pubs, restaurants, your gyms, your hair salons, all that is still going to remain shut in Tamil Nadu. Now, the government, of course, is trying to revive the economy, trying to set that ball rolling. And for that also, they have created a special committee which is looking to attract foreign investment into the state at this point in time, because several countries have pulled out their investments from several other countries due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And the Tamil Nadu government has set in a task force to attract those diverted investments into the state.
Which will be such a good story to follow up on in the days and weeks to come. What new investment is coming into India? What new supply chains are being set up in our country? And what changes are we actually seeing on ground? Shalini's given us that good news from Tamil Nadu. Let me quickly cut across to Kerala, to Thiruvananthapuram, and that's one advantage of watching India today. We have the biggest team of reporters on ground zero to get you facts as they see them on ground. And in Thiruvananthapuram, across Kerala, they've been able to flatten the graph, the curve in a very big way, Gopi, but there still is a cause for concern when it comes to reviving the economy and the fact that people are now returning home from overseas. How are they being treated, Gopi?
Well, Gaurav, this economic crisis is something that the state government will certainly have to look upon in a very serious manner, because Kerala has been heavily dependent on three major aspects. One, the NRI income, the huge influx of money which is coming mostly from the GCC countries. Second has been the tax collected through the liquor sales. The third has been the lottery. And even if we go beyond one more point, we have the tourism industry, which could come up approximately around the fourth or fifth. The lockdown has completely destroyed, we can say, all these four major sectors. So that is one reason why Kerala will certainly have to look at very serious options and ideas to revive its economy as and when the lockdown is over. But talking about the COVID-19 aspect in Kerala, Kerala has been one of the first states where these cases were reported in the country. And we could say that at least till some point, Kerala has been really successful in flattening the curve. But now when we look at the data, we are seeing that Kerala has actually started experiencing the third wave of COVID. The first wave was the 3 patients who came from Wuhan directly. The second was when COVID started spreading across the country. The third now is when the state borders are opened up, when we have the special trains running, and when we have the special flights which are taking Indians who are stuck at other countries back. Now, at one point, Kerala had only around 10 active cases. Now that has risen to about 80 plus in a matter of 4-5 days. So that certainly is a serious matter of concern, though as of now, there are no real hints of a community transmission or a major spread within the state. Kerala will certainly have to be on the watch. They can't take any chances, at least at the time being.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Gopi, stay with me. We'll take some of these aspects, when we talk about tourism at greater length in the next part of our show. But for the moment, I quickly want to cut across to Jaipur. Again, Rajasthan depends extensively on tourism, and tourism has come to a total standstill and perhaps may remain down for a considerable period of time. Also, Rajasthan is grappling with the issue of migrant laborers, and how is Rajasthan looking at lockdown 4.0? What will ease tomorrow? What will open up tomorrow? And what will remain closed?
Well, Gaurav, in Rajasthan, what the Chief Minister did was that during the part third of lockdown 3.0, he mentioned that there will be a modified lockdown in the state, during which several of the establishments which were on the outer skirts of the cities and the districts of Rajasthan, several shops on the highways, several small shopkeepers which were away from the city area and in the industrial parts of the city were allowed to open up. But in lockdown 4.0, as per the MHA guidelines, several other shops are also allowed to open. So one can witness an increase in business, in daily business, several more shops opening up, stadiums opening up, and apart from that, several other shops except for malls and those in containment zones opening up. What also happens, Gaurav, is that what the Rajasthan Chief Minister had been demanding for a long time was to have more of a federal say, more of a implementation of a federal structure, and allowing chief ministers to decide the zones, the red, the yellow and the green zones at their level. So that is something which has been allowed, and that is something which clearly will be a welcome sign as far as the state of Rajasthan is concerned. The Rajasthan Chief Minister, Gaurav, also had asked for a bigger stimulus package for the states, which so far has not happened as far as the Rajasthan government is concerned. It has expressed a kind of a displeasure as far as that is there. But clearly, Gaurav, on the ground today, when I moved out to speak with several small businesses, what is happening is that despite several relaxations of restrictions, people are apprehensive of moving out of their homes and making purchases of products, and that is something which may have to change if small businesses have to revive in Rajasthan and other parts of the country. Gaurav?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The supply chain will be extremely critical. Production will be extremely critical. Also, will the state and the centre be able to come on the same page to carry the country forward? And let me once again get back to Manogya Lohiwal before we bring in Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu on a very important aspect of the Arogya Setu app. We had some conversation about it initially, but Manogya, one, government hasn't made it mandatory to download the Arogya Setu app, but it's saying it's encouraging district magistrates to tell people to use it. As far as flights are concerned, whenever they resume, Arogya Setu app will be mandatory if you want to fly. That's what government sources are telling India today. But Manogya, in Bengal, is there a centre-state divide even on this? Because sometime back, Congress Party's former President Rahul Gandhi saw this as a very sophisticated surveillance tool.
Well, it's anybody's guess. For everything that the government orders, it has to be opposed in some way or the other discreetly by the state government. Very rarely has it happened that both of them have been on the same page on an immediate consensus. But when you talk about Arogya Setu app, well, it's compulsory for even railway travels, and everyone who's traveling out of Kolkata, or for that matter out of Bengal, on a train, on any special train also, will have to download the app. That itself had a lot of furor, and it was a matter of debate in the state and the centre also, alleging on why is it compulsory to download Arogya Setu app. As far as the other facilities are concerned and the other aspects are concerned, well, the government of West Bengal has said that they will be holding series of meetings tomorrow, after which you expect an announcement later in the day. However, what has been operational continues to be operational, and would be interesting to watch a little more political furor on it. Despite the COVID-19 crisis that the country is fighting, Bengal is facing another and a unique battle, I would say.
Absolutely, and is the situation quite the same? You know, from east, let's quickly cut across to west and go to Mumbai, where Vidya joins us. Vidya, the biggest spike in cases in Mumbai, the biggest spike in our country comes from Maharashtra. Has it been perhaps due to handling issues, social distancing not being maintained, paucity of space? How is Maharashtra government being able to explain this? And on the issue of Arogya Setu, which the centre sees as a Brahmastra, are the centre and the state on the same page?
Well, with concerning the fact of Mumbai, we all know, Gaurav, is that the social distancing is a joke at the end of the day in Mumbai, where there's hardly any space, especially in areas which actually have seen the spike, the slum areas. The famous largest slum of Asia, Dharavi, is the one which has more than 1,000 cases and more than 50 people have died in this particular area. So certainly, social distancing is something that is a concern in the city of Mumbai, in which the government really cannot do much unless the people in Mumbai themselves decide that they will not leave their shanties, their small residences, stay in the chubby holes, but remain right there. That's something that the people of government has been really asking the people to do. As far as the Arogya Setu is really concerned, the government has not really discouraged people from downloading Arogya Setu. In fact, as it has been made mandatory for especially people traveling by train. Say, for example, recently we did see a lot of people traveling by Shramik special trains, or in fact coming in from Delhi by the special passenger trains that were organized. All these people had to download Arogya Setu, and that's one of the reasons why, because of the fact that Arogya Setu was mandatory, that people did download, and that was certainly not discouraged here in Maharashtra.
Okay, it hasn't been discouraged in Maharashtra. The government is actively encouraging it. But Rahul, on the privacy versus safety debate, is the government clarifying? Because because initially everyone thought that the Arogya Setu app only shows you are green, you are safe. But there have been some instances, Rahul, of people showing a yellow strip which says moderate risk of infection. How does all of that happen, that if a person is moderate risk of infection, is he allowed to enter, let's say, a marketplace or an office premises or somebody's house to work? Is there any clarity from the government side on this? How does the Arogya Setu app actually work? Okay, I'll just take a moment and I'll get Rahul Srivastava's connection on once again. Dev, in Rajasthan, it's not just about tourism, but it's also about encouraging industrial output, and that is where the government was trying to ensure that the migrant labor that was leaving, is there an effort being made to either hold them, bring them back? Because without them, work wouldn't be able to start in various units.
Well, clearly, Gaurav, this has been a double-edged sword for the government of Rajasthan. The government of Rajasthan had been facing a dilemma, so to say, regarding the migrant laborers, primarily from the states of Bihar, Odisha, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. In fact, there were lakhs of migrant laborers, several of whom we have spoken to, who had expressed that they do not have any resources left with them, that their meager savings had almost finished up, that there was not much help coming forward in terms of food, and also given the fact that several mentioned that their landlords, where they were tenants, had asked them to vacate those places, meant that they were left with little option other than try to return to their home states. And that is when the Rajasthan government, although initially there was clearly a lackadaisical attitude towards these migrant laborers, but later on, when these migrants turned out to be lakhs in numbers, the state government had to relent and ensure that the trains were set up, Shramik trains were set up, that several times the Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot claimed that he wrote to the Prime Minister and the Home Minister asking for ensuring that along with students in quota, migrant laborers should be their returns should also be facilitated. And there have been several trains in different parts from Kota, from Ajmer, from Jaipur towards Bihar, Jharkhand and other parts, which have transported several of these migrant laborers. But the issue remains, Gaurav, because now during the fourth phase, when the industrial activity will pick up, what will
precautions
happen then?
need to be maintained. Precautions need to be taken to ensure that as our economy, as an attempt is made to once again revive the economy, there shouldn't be a big spike once again in COVID-19 cases, because that would derail the entire process. I need to take a quick break here. Don't go away. lots more on what's permitted and what's not starting tomorrow till the 31st of May across the length and breadth of our country. Welcome back. What's permitted and what's not? India Today's Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu was standing by at the Ministry of Home Affairs. She has that entire breakdown. But what's extremely interesting in this, Kamal, is the government's big push towards encouraging the use of the Arogya Setu app. There are more than 10 crore users, we are told, already on this app. Tell us, how does this app actually work? Because in some cases it says you are safe. In one case, I noticed in somebody's case, it said you are at a moderate risk of infection. So what's the government trying to say? Also the response to the privacy question that's being raised. Okay, I'll just re-establish that link with Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu in just a moment. Remember, there's a lot of pressure on internet connections these days, and all our reporters are right out there in the field to get you the latest. We're also getting you reactions from various states. We're getting a reaction from Gujarat even as we speak. Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani, he said that all of the guidelines of the centre will be implemented in the state of Gujarat till the 31st of May. Now, the centre has said that buses, aircraft, mass rapid transport system, all of that will remain off-road except when specially sanctioned for interstate transportation. And that becomes extremely interesting, Manogya, when we talk about the centre saying that interstate movement of buses has to be with consent of both the states. And that is where between Madhya Pradesh and Bengal or between other states, there has been a clash, Manogya.
Well, not just clash, there's been a lot of difference of opinion and also dates and letter sharing, to the extent there were allegations from Rajasthan, Gujarat as well as Maharashtra government, where there were claims that the state governments had written to the government of West Bengal, but there was a delay on approval on the part of government of West Bengal, which itself spoke volumes, and then there were clarifications. Today, however, the government of West Bengal has again clarified that there are 18 trains coming itself from Maharashtra which have been given approval, and 105 in total. However, there has been a lot of furor and debate on the number of trains that are required for bringing the total number of migrant laborers back to the state, but also on the number of buses that have been traveling between Bengal and other states. Now, this comes as a huge challenge because there are a lot of people who stay in Rajasthan but have been migrant laborers in Bengal and want to go back to Rajasthan or Gujarat, and on the and vice versa also. But amidst all this, there has been the biggest challenge for the West Bengal government will be now not just handling the basic infrastructure but also ensuring that the migrant labor issue does not haunt the state anymore, just the way it has been doing the entire country.
In fact, that's the point. Is that a fear that when migrant labor comes in, it could lead to another spike in COVID-19 cases, as is the apprehension in the state of Kerala? But since I have Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu, I just want a quick clarification on the government encouraging the use of the Arogya Setu app. It has about 10.53 crore users as on date. But Kamal, the government is not enforcing it. There are privacy concerns that have been raised, but the government is encouraging people to use it. What does that mean? Specify what the government has said in this Lockdown 4.0 about the Arogya Setu app.
See, the government has been emphasizing that Arogya Setu app is one platform which can be utilized to ensure that the spread of COVID can be contained. Now, that relies on two things. One is on government's effort to ensure that the citizens do it. For instance, in Noida, it's compulsory. It's mandatory to actually download that particular app and use it. The other places, there are several of them who are doing the same thing. Now, the government has been saying it's been advised, but in real sense, they are also making companies liable to that sense to ensure that their employees download the app. Now, how effectively has it been used? Because there are people who've doubted it. Elliot Anderson, one of the hackers who specifically talked about it, the dangers of privacy issues as far as this application is concerned. So yes, despite apprehension, what the government has been able to do is tell its own central government employee, the state employees, the CAPF or the paramilitary forces. There are obviously people in uniform who've downloaded it. The cops have downloaded it. So in that sense, they have had it covered that their own employees particularly take care of it, because several of them go into hotspot zones. But the other part is, how can a citizen really contribute to this entire government's effort to fight COVID? This is where it's going to be a give and take. And how much of it will be responsible?
Okay.
Because now not only is the government shifting and empowering the states, but it is also shifting the role to the individual to ensure that this does not spread. But again, there is obviously doubt. One is about the connectivity.
That's a very
second
important
about
point
its
you raised there,
effectiveness,
Kamal.
third about everybody having a smartphone.
Yes. Absolutely. So GPS, you need to have a GPS, you need to have a Bluetooth on to have this Arogya Setu app. But the point that Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu was raising, the center in lockdown 4.0 is not only empowering states to take decisions, but also putting the ball in the court of the people of India. It's for the people to ensure they stay safe. They maintain 2 gaz duri, they wear a mask, they wash their hands, and they ensure that this COVID-19 is not spread around the way it has in the past. Or let's take the case of Dharavi, for example. Dharavi, as Vidya was just telling us, is Asia's biggest slum. It's reported a big spike in cases. More than 50 people have lost their lives. More than 1,000 people have been infected. Is it because houses or shanties are so close to each other? Or is it people are not following the norms the way they should? Mustafa Sheikh is on ground zero and has sent us this report.
Opposite a COVID hospital in Dharavi, shops selling pots were open despite the lockdown. Dharavi is known for its pottery and is also the source of income for majority.
धंधा चालू रखा है, पुलिस लोग आके चिल्लाते हैं बंद करो, तो हम लोग क्या करें? कुछ भी उम्मीद है तो कोई एक दो आते हैं तो बिक जाता है, तो घर चल जाता है। से नॉर्मल सीजन में जैसे गर्मी में तो मटके ज़्यादा रोज के 8-10 बिक जाते थे, तो घर में चलता था। अभी इस बार तो महीने में 3 मटके बिक रहे, क्योंकि गिराकी नहीं है तो क्या हम लोग बेचेंगे, घर कैसे चलाएंगे?
Dharavi has a population of 6.53 lakh people. The first case in the area was reported on 1st of April in Dr. Baliga Nagar Housing Society, making it the first containment zone. The restrictions there have been lifted.
सब लोग अपने टेंशन में थे कि क्या हो रहा है और क्या होगा आगे। सब मिलके हमने यहाँ पे एक अच्छी तरह से पब्लिक को, हमारे मेंबर्स को अच्छी तरह से मैसेज पास किया है और सबको हम लोग हेल्प करते थे। कोई डरो मत, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा।
To tackle the spread of virus, G0 ward has created an SOP for Dharavi. Those with symptoms are kept at Corona Care Center 1 facilities. Asymptomatic positive patients are kept in Corona Care Center 2, and patients with comorbidities are kept in dedicated COVID healthcare center.
Yeah, outside Sai Hospital in Dharavi, it was the first private hospital which was converted fully as a COVID-19 hospital, which has 51 beds. It has treated a lot of patients which are symptomatic, patients which have comorbidities. And here there have been doctors who practice in Dharavi tested positive. Those doctors were also treated at this hospital.
Given the rapid rise of cases in Maharashtra, migrant workers living in Dharavi want to leave the city. Around 75,000 migrants have registered with Dharavi police station to take a train home.
Migrant workers are part of the population which makes Dharavi densely populated, and hence these workers, given that Dharavi has the highest cases, want to leave the area as soon as possible. With camera person Sai Prasad Patil, Mustafa Sheikh in Mumbai for India Today.
Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has said that the state will follow centre's guidelines on lockdown 4.0 in toto starting tomorrow. There will be a special meeting of the Gujarat government tomorrow, after which in some areas, remember there are super spreaders in Ahmedabad, especially in Old Ahmedabad and in some adjoining areas, which have been a cause for concern. Vegetable sellers in some pockets have been a cause for grave concern. Again, something that's led to COVID-19 cases being spread in Ahmedabad. But now there will be restrictions in the red zones, in the containment zones, but otherwise there will be a gradual opening up. Let's listen in to Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani.
આવતીકાલે બધા કલેક્ટર, મ્યુનિસિપલ કમિશનરો, ડીડીઓ બધા સાથે બેસીને પોતપોતાના વિસ્તારના કન્ટેનમેન્ટ ઝોન એ રાજ્ય સરકારમાં સુપ્રત કરશે અને રાજ્ય સરકાર એને આવતીકાલે ફાઇનલાઇઝ કરશે. આ નોટિફિકેશનનો અમલ એ પરમ દિવસથી શરૂ કરીએ છીએ. આવતીકાલે બધા એના નિયમો અને એની એસઓપી જાહેર કરવામાં આવશે અને અમલ એ મંગળવારે સવારથી કરવામાં આવશે.
So you heard about standard operating procedures that will come up in the state of Gujarat. Let me now quickly cut across to Telangana, where K. Chandrasekhar Rao will also hold a special cabinet meeting at 5 p.m. to discuss the road ahead in lockdown 4.0. Now, Telangana again will have a detailed session on what will be permitted in lockdown 4.0 till the 31st of March. India Today has the biggest team of reporters on ground to get you the latest from across the length and breadth of our country. But for the moment, that is all I have for you on this India Today special broadcast from Vijay Chowk. Just hours earlier, these special directives have come and our reporters will get you much more on this story. Tomorrow morning, what all can you do? What all is open? That story and lots more coming up on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us.